Welcome to No More and Guess Less with Teresa. Can you believe it? We are already on our Learning Unit 4. And we are starting off with a bang because we are going to look how leadership plays a role in persuasive communication. And please always orientate yourself in the context of politics.
Yeah!
You've already found out in your second year that there's a huge difference between a manager and a leader. A leader is somebody who can inspire people, somebody who doesn't have to force people, doesn't have to control people, doesn't have to manipulate people. A leader is somebody who mobilizes people through their wonderful ways of guiding, of being an expert, of being empathetic. So definitely there is a new age understanding of how to actually lead people. And it has got very little to do with management. In a nutshell, leadership is the ability of a person to inspire and mobilize large numbers of people in support of a cause, which hopefully will be done in an ethical way. Now, of course, leadership in politics is a highly contested issue. We are having daily conversations about the kind of leadership that is portrayed by our politicians in South Africa. And as you probably know, the bottom line is not looking very pretty. I kind of understand why this is the case, because obviously in a country like South Africa, it's very hard to be a leader because what you have to spearhead is a transformation, a large-scale change, because there are so many problems in this country and so many things that have to be ironed out. Also, we need leaders who don't just dream big, but also understand the reality of actually bringing plans and visions to fruition. So we don't just need politicians who can look into the future, but also understand how plans need to be pragmatically implemented.
Yeah!
In general, there are a few things that effective leaders do, and these are lessons that you should definitely keep in mind. The vision, I've already pointed it out. Good leaders have this downboard thinking. This is a term that comes from the world of chess. You need to anticipate what's going to happen in the future, and you need to creatively plan for that kind of future. You need to understand that many different influences will be on your way toward that future. But yes, a vision is very important. Also, good leaders know how to communicate to their audiences. They analyze the audiences and they use language and nonverbal symbology that is actually understood. Good leaders walk the talk. They are reliable, they have integrity. When they say they're going to do something, they are going to do it. Good leaders also understand that they cannot do it all by themselves. They understand that they have to give up some responsibility. So cooperation is the word in this context. The last trait of an effective leader is, of course, this inspiration that this leader actually offers to their audiences. All the persuasive techniques that we've learned about in our second year can actually come back up here. Also, practicing empathy works wonders with motivating people and actually getting people on board with what you are trying to achieve.
Yeah!
I've pointed out that transformation is very necessary in South Africa, and transformation is that large-scale change. When we are describing such a transformational leader, there are 4 dimensions that they're actually bringing up here. I don't really think that you should concentrate on those and rather concentrate on the lessons that Mandela is giving you in this context, which we will come to now. But just so that you get an overview, transformational leadership should be one that has individualized consideration, that provides intellectual stimulation, that provides inspirational motivation, as well as idealized influence or charisma.
Yeah!
I often lament the fact that your textbook doesn't really make enough reference to the South African context. Therefore, I'm very happy to see that they have included Mandela's 8 lessons of political leadership. And he speaks a lot of truth. And he obviously also speaks from experience here when he says that quitting is leading to. This is number 8 of his lessons, and it basically means that if you are fighting a lost cause, you need to understand that there are maybe sunk costs. This is a principle in economics, which means that you have done a lot towards something and it doesn't actually come through. At some stage, you have to step away from it, even though you might have invested a lot of time and money and effort into this thing as well. So he is not afraid, or he was not afraid, to actually quit certain projects if he didn't see them working out. Yeah! Lesson number 7 is nothing is black or white. He appeals to you to be relative, to understand situations, to understand how different situations call for different courses of action and call for different behavior and call for different communication behavior. Yeah! Lesson number 6 is that appearance does indeed matter, and smiling matters. I think it's such a wonderful thing for him to say, because when we are thinking of Mandela, we usually see these custom-made African print shirts that he was wearing, and he took great pride in his heritage, and he made sure that he looked the part and that he looked the South African part. And there was always a big smile on his face as well. Yeah! Lesson number 5, keep your friends close and your rivals even closer. You have a certain latitude of engagement. Just imagine you can talk to your rivals. If you talk, you can influence. If you talk, you can change. If you don't have a relationship with your rivals, that will become impossible. Yeah! Lesson number 4, know your enemy and learn about their favorite sport. Obviously, he is referring to the apartheid days when white South Africans were usually settled in the rugby sport and the black South Africans had a passion for soccer. But what Mandela did, as you know, in 1994 at the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup, he actually handed over the trophy to our Springboks. And that is once again a symbolic action that he took there. He wanted to make sure that he could relate to the enemy. Yeah! Lesson number 3, lead from the back and let others believe they are in front. He basically says that he would still be the leader, or you should still be the leader. But that cooperation that I just pointed out, you giving off some responsibility and you making people cooperate, people collaborate, people come into the planning and the execution of your plans. That's really what you are trying to do. And coming back to soccer, a lot of soccer coaches actually preach this particular mantra in that they're telling the captains to lead from the back, okay? Let other people shine and let them take ownership of the process. Yeah! Lesson number 2, lead from the front. Sometimes, of course, this is necessary. That is why you were voted in. That is why you are at the top. That is why you are representing the democratic citizens, for example. Even if you are in front, do not leave your base behind, is what Mandela says. Yeah! And lesson number 1, courage is not the absence of fear. It's inspiring others to move beyond it. I actually brought this particular lesson up last because I don't quite agree with Mandela, if I may, because I actually think showing fear can teach a good lesson to your constituency. I'm not saying that you should be fearful at all times. Yes, you must be courageous. You should be courageous most of the time. But sometimes showing a little bit of weakness makes you humane. And it can also communicate the magnitude of the tasks to be done. Being brave is one thing, and being courageous is one thing. But I don't think there's anything wrong with showing fear once in a while as well. But I did not write these 8 lessons of leadership in politics, Mandela did. And therefore I will leave it at that.